A couple of things that you've already brought up is getting your DTM. And we're going to talk about the what, the why, and the how for sponsors, mentors, and coaches. But also, one of the reasons why is many of you want your DTM. We'll cover the roadmap. I know somebody posted in here already. They're looking for tips on how to help a new club or an existing club, and that roadmap will help you, as well as demo meetings, how to help clubs make key decisions, and the charter presentation. Jam-packed agenda. We'll also talk about the core foundation for successful and thriving clubs, the DCP, Club Success Plan, and finally a little bit about pathways. And then we'll end with questions and answers from you. So we're excited to hear all the questions that you may have. It's great to see all the excitement already in the chat. If you haven't introduced yourself or you just jumped on, please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. So I will go over really quickly what it's going to take for you to get your DTM. And the reason we're sharing this is because many people ask, how do I get my DTM? But you guys are already talking about it. So you're the advanced class. So we wanted everybody to kind of just see this. We're not going to go through all the points of the DTM, but I want to point out in pathways, if you are seeking your DTM in pathways, if you look at the third bullet down, one of the requirements is you must serve as a club mentor or coach. So mentor or coach. So tonight we're going to talk about sponsors, mentors, and coaches. So one of the requirements is a mentor or a coach. And then this next requirement is serving as a club sponsor or conducting a youth leadership program. So when you're hearing about all these things we're going to talk about tonight, sponsors, mentors, and coach roles, keep that in mind if you're in the pathways that you will need to be a mentor or coach and a sponsor or do the youth leadership program. If you're working on your legacy program, it is a little bit different. So I will call that bullet out in the legacy program. And in the legacy program, you have to serve as a sponsor, mentor, or a coach. So all three are kind of combined. You can pick one of those. So tonight, as you're learning from our wonderful speakers and presenters, we'll have Connie and Lisa and Julie talk about sponsors, mentors, and coaches. Kind of be thinking about which one you need, but also which one most interests you. We wanted to just review the DTM so that everybody had the same understanding and if you weren't familiar about the requirements. So now I'm going to kick it over to Connie. Connie is going to lead us in the first section. And again, if you have questions, please feel free to drop those in the Q&A.
Thank you, Sarah. So what is a club coach? What is a club sponsor? The sponsor is the person that represents Toastmasters to new members. They are responsible for setting the foundation of the club and directing its course. So they're responsible for chartering the club, the creation of the club, recruiting new members, attending the demo meetings, building enthusiasm, and filling all the necessary paperwork. And the club can have two sponsors. So again, they're the first face of Toastmasters that potential new members and new clubs see. What are the roles and duties of a club sponsor? Attend demo meetings and really start with the basics of strategic planning, organizing the marketing efforts, following up in trying to assemble the officer team, help facilitate the paperwork, the application to organize, help collect the $125 charter fee, and helps plan the charter presentation, usually known as the charter party, and explain pathways. We have a goal to charter a new club in 8 weeks. And that may sound ambitious, but the data shows that it definitely can be done. Because if you wait too long to charter a club, what happens? People lose interest. We have clubs on the potential clubs on the books that have paid their $125 charter fee, but they haven't filled out all the charter paperwork. We don't want that to happen to anybody. So the big question, why become a club sponsor? Well, the obvious one is we all want our DTMs, right? Yes, whether we're working towards pathways or in the legacy program. But there's so much more reasons why. To me, the most exciting one is that you're investing in the future of Toastmasters. Who doesn't want to be on the ground floor of something new and exciting by building new leaders? You also will learn new skills, become better at teamwork, and refine your leadership skills. So there's a lot of reasons why to do it, not just your DTM, although it's very important to most people, but please think about the bigger picture. We don't want anybody just joining into these positions just to check a box. We really want engagement. The qualifications for a club sponsor. You need to serve in any of the 7 club positions, know how to navigate Toastmasters International, the district's website, Base Club, and Club Central. Now, it's okay if you're not an expert. We'll show you, but have a basic understanding. Complete Pathway Level 1, and have knowledge of best club practices and the charter process. And again, you don't have to be a subject matter expert from day one. We've got your back. We also want you to have a member-first focus and a willingness to learn. Your SMaC team is here for you to answer any questions at any point. Expectations. Now, I love the pun about the smackdown. So this is where it's at. This is the smackdown. What the district expects. We want you to be active and engaged, like I said. Attend 80 to 100% of all meetings until the club charters, whether that's in 8 weeks, 3 months, whatever it takes. Provide weekly or monthly status reports so let the SMaC team know how it's going if you need additional resources. The SMaC team has spent a lot of time putting a playbook together, which you will receive once you're appointed. It's an awesome resource. Toastmasters has a lot of resources, but there's 10 or 15 different places that you go to look. This is everything you need in this playbook. We want you to go to your monthly executive club meetings for your team so they get in the habit of hosting regular meetings, and you know what's really going along with the club, and you can guide them and really show your knowledge and expertise. The SMaC team is also going to have monthly meetings, and then once your work is done, you want to celebrate, so attend the charter presentation. How can I get appointed? Big question. Well, you've already did the first one, so you can check that off. You've attended the SMaC training. There is a sponsor mentor forum, which is located at the Arizona Toastmasters website. There's an interview, and then the last step is accept the appointment. So it's very, very easy. What is a club mentor? This is where the handoff happens. The sponsor will pass and hand off the club to the club mentor. Now, this is a very critical point because, again, we want our mentors to be able to bring strong, healthy, sustainable clubs. And this is the bare bones. You're going to be talking about pathways in depth, deciding, helping them decide the culture, the customs, the policies. Because as we know, our clubs are unique. And we all like to think we belong to the best club, but I know my club's the best, right? You are the subject matter expert now. You really are going to use your knowledge and answer questions and provide resources. A club can have 2 mentors. Remember, you will have a great impact on the degree to which a new club succeeds. It might sound daunting, but it's going to be so rewarding when you're successful as a mentor. The roles and the duties of the mentor. One of the key things to having a successful, fun, and productive club is establishing club quality meetings. You might think about giving the moment of truth speech. That's an excellent resource to start off with. Again, strategic planning. Reaching distinguished status doesn't help by just thinking about it. You need to plan. You need to organize. You always need to be recruiting and retaining members, right? So it's your job to lay it out for the new club. They don't know what a DCP program is. They haven't heard of a club success plan. It's the mentor's job to show the club the resources. Help them schedule the regular meetings, find out what day and time, what platform. Most of us do Zoom, but that's not the only platform to have a Toastmasters meeting. And again, some critical resources is to show them about Club Central and Basecamp and the D3 website. It's also a mentor's job to train the officers and encourage them to attend TLI and other district events. The why again. We know the big one is to help others and truly be a servant leader. You will grow in this role, whether it's you want to learn, increase your project management skills, conflict resolution skills, or build teamwork skills. There's so many ways you can grow in this position, but you're investing in future leaders. And the obvious one, earn your Distinguished Toastmasters Education Award. The qualifications are very similar to the sponsor. You can serve in any officer positions. We want to make sure you know of all the resources, more in depth than the sponsor. Be able to know about pathways, because if you haven't completed a path and pathways, how are you going to explain it to somebody new? And that's all they know. They probably have never even heard, if you say a legacy program, they don't know what you're talking about. And have that willingness, if you don't know the answer, the willingness to find that answer for the new club and always put the members first. But you also don't want to come across as, this is the way we do it in my club. You've got to be very open and say, these are some of the ways, and let the club decide what to choose. Expectation is very similar. We want you engaged. We want you to participate, read the playbook, attend monthly SMaC meetings, go to the executive council meetings. When I first joined Toastmasters and became an officer, I was really surprised that a lot of my clubs at that time, they didn't have executive meetings. It wasn't until I was in an advanced club that I realized that, that there was a club success plan, the DCP plan. I was in Toastmasters for a few years before somebody explained that there was the club, the area, and then the district. So it's very important to start off on the right foot from very beginning, and the mentor plays that critical role in building successful and sustainable clubs. Because we don't want to charter clubs and then have them fold within a year. We want successful, sustainable clubs. It's not just when we say successful, we're not talking about the DCP goals. We're talking about you're successful when you're meeting your members' needs. They're learning and growing. What do I need to do for the appointment? 10 SMaC training, fill out the Spencer Mentor form, interview, and accept the appointment. Easy peasy. Now, I'd like to introduce the team's club success coach. Please welcome Julie Miller.
Thank you, Connie. My name is Julie Miller, and I am the club assist chair. and my focus tonight is to go over the Club Coach program and explain the benefits of serving in this really very rewarding position. Now, what is a Club Coach? It's really an experienced Toastmaster who's going to help a club that's struggling, a club that maybe has lost its moxie because of a drop in membership. So a club needs some help, and this club coach is going to use their listening skills to help the club and its members grow and develop new ideas. And I use a term called just kind of like creative listening. Just, keep an open mind to what's going on with the club and make sure that you are embracing their thoughts and concerns. A coach. Think of this as an athletic team. The coach does not just show up at meetings or games. It goes to practices too. So you are going to attend meetings, which is game day in a coach's mind, as well as any other activities that will support the club. So again, attending regular meetings and activities is going to be a big responsibility for a coach. The duties and responsibilities of our coach are basically to, again, be that resource for the club. Help it build a good path as it develops a stronger core. Of course, you need to respect the existing club culture, which Connie mentioned earlier, because that is what makes the club. Its members is what makes the club. Sometimes there's just a few little things that need to be tweaked, but don't go in and try and change what the club has. Build rapport. And again, when you're asking questions, you can approach from curious. Ask questions like, why this? Why that? Have you thought of this? Have you thought of that? This will help you by asking questions to identify the strengths and challenges. We all know that challenges is a term politically correct for problems, are things that need to be fixed. But challenges can also be some strengths. So let's work on identifying what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong. And again, you're the coach, so you're not just going to show up at game day. You're going to show up and participate in those club activities and encourage participation in district activities. So again, participating in club and district activities is a must. There are many, many benefits of being a club coach. The top bullet here, to me, is kind of selfish, but it's the best possible reason to be a coach, because you are going to develop and utilize your leadership skills, mentoring, team building, facilitation, negotiation, and many other skills. This is important because this bullet is very attainable, and it is something that you can put on your resume. We are all professionals, and not always in our current job do we have an opportunity to use these skills. But as a coach, this could be brought up in an interview, that you use these skills to help this group achieve success. So I think this is one of the most important reasons for becoming a coach, because you can develop others and develop yourself. Servant leadership, again, is something that you are going to help a club by showing, by example. You can give speeches. You can provide evaluations. You can fill facilitator roles within a meeting and show by how you perform that activity that could help the club along as well. And again, the satisfaction of helping a club grow. You'll also get a pin. We all like jewelry, so something to go on your lapel that shows that you are a coach, and we will provide you with supporting materials to help make your job easier. What's very important and different about this year is successful coaches will earn a year of district service. In addition, the club must attain distinguished club status in order for you to receive that award. So again, the Distinguished Club program is very important in fulfilling requirements to be a club coach. Qualifications for a club coach are pretty simple. I think the top three are the most important because you must be a member, a paid member in good standing, so keep your dues up. You cannot be a member of the club that you are coaching. The reason for that is, as Toastmasters, it is our responsibility to help our club. So we shouldn't get any extra credit for helping our own club. So if you fall in love with the club that you are coaching because you've spent so much time with them and now you all mesh, then it is very appropriate to join the club. But just save that until after you've been appointed and after you've worked with the club. Sometimes it helps the club earn their membership requirements. Third, be familiar with pathways, because you can't be a good servant leader if you are unfamiliar with the material and the curriculum. So make sure that you've gone through at least one level of one path. Experience as an officer is critical because you know how a club operates. So that is a good requirement or qualification. Now, there is an approval process. The club officers have to agree to have you enter their club and work with them, as does the district and Toastmasters International. And we'll go over that approval process in a moment. And there is a maximum length of time. It's 2 years and per club. It starts on July 1st, which would be the first year. And then it can continue for a maximum of 2 years per club. So expectations, very similar to the mentors that we went over earlier. You're a coach. You're not there just for the practices. You're there for the games, and we want you there for 80 to 100%, because how else is the club going to benefit if you're not participating? And build rapport with the leaders and the club members. Get along with them, work with them, instill that enthusiasm. And this is such a great opportunity to help, and it's so much fun to get involved. Keep an eye on the club environment and just make sure that you're not coming in being bossy and knowing that your way is the only way. And again, strengthening that club core. It's all about the members. Get involved with the club contests and encourage participating in district events such as the TLI and training that we're doing today. Every club needs a roadmap, and that's the club success plan, and you can help your club complete a plan and get a roadmap to success. It could be they've never done it before, so this will give an opportunity and you an opportunity to lead. This is the only position between sponsors, mentors, and coaches. This is the only position that is results driven. The club must earn the distinguished status in order to earn credit. And with the other activities that we talked about earlier, SMaC training is a must, and the SMaC playbook will be part of the curriculum provided to you. Club requirements. The clubs have to have some type of requirements to need a coach. So they must have at least one member and no more than 12 at the time of appointment. They also must be in good standing, meaning that they've paid appropriate dues and turned in whatever needs to be turned in. The club cannot have more than 2 coaches appointed at one time. We're winding down now, but we are getting to the application process. It's very simple. Not like the Supreme Court justices that we're reviewing today or living through today. It starts with a simple email to the club, the coach assist, expressing an interest. I'll send you an application, and then we want you to meet with clubs, or perhaps you have a club in mind. Whatever works, we will help you find that club. The club president must approve you working with their club. The club assist chair, the growth director, will forward your application or our recommendation to Toastmasters International, and once the approval is received, let the coaching begin. To recap, we're going to turn it over to...
That would be me, because I'm getting to share one of the most exciting tools that the SMaC team has developed. It's called our bubble map, or the roadmap to thriving distinguished clubs. depending on your experience, you might be a little bit intimidated to take on a mentor or club coach role. I cannot emphasize enough. You don't have to know all the answers. You have a team behind you. Whatever you need, we have your back. And one of the resources is this roadmap. It is interactive, so once you get it, you're going to click on a bubble. So you're wondering, oh, I know that there's 4 membership programs. What are the names? What are the months? Well, first of all, I'd say the number one thing to remember, always be recruiting. And then click on the bubble or go to the playbook and it will direct you to the membership campaigns, which are the Smedley, the Beat the Clock, and it'll tell you when they are. Talk Up Toastmasters always starts in February. So this is the type of tool. It's very intuitive and interactive. Maybe you've been an officer, but you've never filled out a club success plan. The playbook will tell you what to do and when to do it and why to do it. I personally believe that a lot of clubs aren't as successful in meeting their members' needs because it's not about how we're measuring it and achieving the status. It's all about the members' needs. One of the reasons why, almost the number one reason why members leave is their needs are not being met. Most of us have attended meetings where they were very disorganized, or we had a superstar that realizes, I want to get my DTM, but there's no way I can do it at this club because I'm only able to speak every couple of months. This will help you. And sometimes clubs forget, okay, it's a new year where they're all excited. Last year we were distinguished, we're select distinguished. This year we're going to be presidents distinguished, but then they lose steam. So in performing, when you click on the DC PICO progress checks, it reminds you need to have regular checks to make sure. And if you're really goal-driven, as the VPE should be reaching out and saying, hey, Joe, I know that you wanted to earn your level 2, and we need a level 2 award. Let's look at what speech time slots are available to ensure that happens. Because it seems like there's 2 kinds of people. People who just say someday it's going to happen, or people that plan and make a plan and execute the plan and follow through the plan to ensure that that happens. So whatever stage that you take over the club as a coach, sometimes it's going back to basics and asking, okay, did the members attend TLI? Do they know about the DCP plan? Have they ever filled out? Are they having the regular monthly meetings? Some of the same questions that you would go through as a mentor. So we have the different resources here for you. You don't have to go 6 million places. If you have questions, you know who to reach out to. So at this time, I'd like to ask Lisa to tell us about the demo meeting process.
Hi, thank you very much, Connie, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. What is a demo meeting? Pretty much it is the way that it sounds. It is demonstrating a typical Toastmasters meeting. That doesn't mean that the new club can't form its own culture, but we want to give them an example of how a typical meeting runs. The first thing we want to do, focus on what's in it for them. Make sure we meet their WIIFM channel. Share the benefits of Toastmasters and why it's worthwhile to join. We're here to get them to charter. That means we need all the people there to become the charter members. Now, typically we only need 20, but we always ask them to invite more than 20 to the meeting because, we always have a few holdouts when it comes to joining up. We usually have a demo speaker and an evaluator for the demo speaker. The demo speaker will give a testimonial about what Toastmasters has done for them. And then the evaluator, of course, evaluates them. Along with that, we also have our usual suspects, the counter, the grammarian, and the timer. But in this case, 3 people from the club that's trying to form will play those roles. And in a typical fashion, when we were in person, we would sit seasoned Toastmasters with these people to guide them through their role and to help them work with it, even though they're reading the cue cards that we have from those roles. With us being online, we can still do that. We've been holding demo meetings online very effectively. And we have, of course, the general evaluator, and we have the Toastmaster, and of course, the person that kicks it off. So it's still just a regular old meeting. After the demo speaker has done what they do, you go ahead and plan the next steps. Make a provision for a full range of possible outcomes from, I'm slightly interested, I'm not sure I'm ready to commit, to where's the paper, where's my pen, here's my card. And that's the point we want to get them to. Once we have a commitment and everything's been confirmed by the attendees, we can suggest a suitable course of action for the club to follow next. The first thing we want to do, identify the leaders. Those are the people that help get this together, to help promote it, to help get the people to even come. Those are the people that are going to be the future officers for that club. The immediate involvement we need would be the president, the vice president of education, vice president of membership. You can live without the vice president of public relations, but really, if you want to get that word out, they're going to be just as integral. Then, of course, the secretary and treasurer and the sergeant at arms. Now, question for all of you, and you can put it in, I think there's going to be a poll coming up. If fewer than 20 people were to sign up at the demo meeting, what would you do? So there's the poll up on the screen. Go ahead and send in your note, and we will have the responses here very shortly. Okay, so the majority of everyone, 67%, schedule another meeting and contact the SMaC team, as we like to call it, the Sponsor Mentor Coach team, and increase our resources to finding more people. That's right. You can also increase marketing efforts, correct? Thankfully, no one mentioned anything about scheduling just another meeting without more follow-up. And thank you very much for not saying we're just going to sit and cry, because that's not an option. So thanks, everybody. That was a great poll. Now, after the demo meeting, after we've had the nervousness and we've had the speech and the evaluation and whatnot, and we get to mingle with people, even in an online environment, we can mingle and put them into a breakout room to have a one-on-one conversation and answer questions with them, introduce the sponsors and the mentors. This is very important because the sponsors did a lot of work to get this club going. The mentors are going to take this over, as they've mentioned previously, as part of the handoff. Both sets of people have to be mentioned on the paperwork that I'm going to get to in just a second. Let's do question and answer. Let's schedule the next meeting. Let's keep them moving forward because they're feeling that energy. They're feeling the vibe. Don't slow them down. Let's get them to rock and roll this. The first form they're going to complete is the application to organize. Now, how many forms you're thinking there are? I didn't know till I got started in this. There's approximately 7. There's really 6, but there's a 6A and a 6B. So I'll get those to you here. If you want to take notes, the first form is the application to organize, and this has to be submitted with the charter fee of $125. The second form are the charter payments. You have to have a new member fee per person, per charter member, of $20. And $45, which is the first 6 months of membership dues per person. So along with the charter payment of $125 at the application to organize, each charter member must put in $65 as well. Form 3, charter membership application, which is 1 required per member. The applications must be signed by both the applicant and a club officer. Form 4, charter club officer information. Who would love to be the charter club officer? Yeah, I'm there too. Would love to do that and kick this off. Form 5 is the club information. This is important because we have to know where the club is physically meeting. Now, before you say, Lise, duh, we're in an online environment, I get it, but we still need a physical address. Why? When you submit the application to organize and have that physical address, again, that will repeat on Form 5, you're going to get a box of information from Toastmasters International. And at some point, we will be having the banner sent to the physical address. So even though we're meeting in an online environment, we still need a physical address to send information to. Form 6A is the club constitution for clubs of Toastmasters International. Now this sets up stuff like what day of the week are we going to meet, what time, and how often, all the club culture stuff of that. 6B is the addendum of standard club options. This comes into play if things have to change down the road for any particular reason, such as we have a different day that we're meeting, like my club. They originally met from Thursdays, then they moved to Tuesdays. We had to file an addendum. So always make sure they have that. They may not need to fill it in at that point. They may just say, nope, everything's good to go. Or they could file something and say, yeah, you know what, we need to change this. So make sure that they have all 7 of those. Once those forms are all in, everything gets mailed to Toastmasters office in Inglewood, Colorado. If you have questions, you can ask me, or you could email newclubs@toastmasters.org or give them a call as well. Are there any questions about this? It seems a lot, but really once you get into it, it's not so bad. And there is a checklist that I can also make available to the attendees tonight if you'd like to have that, which we'll name the forms as well.
Lisa, can you go over why the magic number is 20?
I sure can. For most reasons, it's because 20 double numbers make bleh. Let me start over. I'm sorry, because too much coffee this morning. Double numbers are easier to achieve to the 20. 20 is the number that we have to have on our Distinguished Club Performance or DCP chart. So if you notice that in our dashboard of our own clubs, it asks us, are we at 20? If not, we need to grow by 5 or at least hit 20. So for that reason alone, we need to make sure we get to 20 and get them started on the right foot first time. And any other questions? I'm here to help. Or are we I think, Sarah, are we almost ready, I think, for a breakout or a break?
No, next up is Dylan.
Great. So Dylan, let me introduce you. Dylan is the master of the matrix, and he is going to take it from here and explain what this thing does. Mr. Fairclough.
Awesome. Thank you, Lisa. Everybody, we've talked about a lot of different things here. We've talked about coaches, sponsors, mentors, and chartering. And so one of the things we've done is we've created the club decision matrix. And this is a tool to help these new clubs charter, make decisions around what type of club do they want to be, their club culture, administrative tasks, as well as the administrative positions like officers, and then, around the education program like pathways. And so we've gone ahead and created a video here to help guide you through what the club decision matrix is, how you can use it, and how it will benefit you as a sponsor and as you are helping to charter clubs. So if we can go ahead and get that video up, we'll get it started, and I hope you enjoy. Welcome to the Toastmasters Club Decision Matrix. The Club Decision Matrix is intended to assist new clubs in answering fundamental questions for building a new club, developing club culture, and the creation of club bylaws. It will also spark thoughts or additional questions concerning club policies, practices, and procedures. And lastly, it will guide new clubs with recommendations centered on best practices. If you are ever unsure of what direction to go in or how to answer a question, please reach out to your club sponsors, area director, or SMaC chair. We hope that this matrix will help you and your team start to recognize a few of the different areas that need to be considered when starting a new club, and that it will be a useful tool to expediting your club to success. Let's get started. Notice at the bottom of the matrix, there are 6 tabs. Type of club in orange, finances in green, officers in blue, functionaries in purple, agenda in yellow, and education in red. You might find that there are other topics where you will have to make decisions. However, this matrix was designed to only highlight some of the foundational topics throughout the new club journey. As you work through the matrix, you'll notice that each question has supporting information, a description to explain the purpose of the question, some of the more common options to choose from, our recommendation, and then 2 more fields for you to fill in. Choice, to indicate what direction you'd like to go in based off of your club's needs, and comments, to provide some detail around your choice. Let's go over some examples for using the club decision matrix. Within the type of club tab, the question, what type of club do you want to be, will help you start thinking about some of your club bylaws, how you want to run the club, who you will market to, and more. Possible choices to this question include an open club, closed club, online, or hybrid. Our recommendation is to be an open hybrid club so that you can market to a wider demographic of people. Figuring out what kind of expenses your club may incur will lead you to the Finances tab. Question 1 wants you to consider how much your club dues will be, and ultimately will get you thinking about some of the initial expenses your club may incur throughout the chartering process, as well as any ongoing expenses. Charging club dues will help to cover some of those costs. Another part of the club journey is finding candidates to be club officers. The Officers tab will help answer some of those questions. A perfect example in this tab are questions 2 through 8, where we've made recommendations based on some comparable qualities a person might have to fit nicely into the role. Functionary roles are important pillars to every meeting, and each role serves a purpose. Take note of the link at the top of the Functionaries tab that will lead you to the Toastmasters International Functionary Role Explanations. This tab will also help you to put in some processes in case someone isn't able to fill their role last minute, or if you want to add some additional fun roles to spice up your meetings. The backbone to every meeting is a well-prepared agenda. Within the Agenda tab, you'll find questions that help make decisions around how the agenda will be created for each meeting. How many speakers do you want to have per meeting is important to the agenda because it will determine how long meetings will run, how long table topics will be, how many speeches you'll be able to complete in a month, and more. Education is an important aspect of Toastmasters. The Education tab will have you think about how you will educate your members in a few different areas like new member onboarding, mentoring, and pathways. As you can see, the decision matrix covers a variety of areas in building a club, and we hope that this tool will really help to not only expedite the process, but guide you down a path to successfully build a sustainable future legacy club and develop future Toastmaster leaders.
Awesome. Thank you, Michelle, for playing the video. I'd like to open it up to questions. So if you want to type in your questions in the Q&A, I'd be more than happy to answer them. I know that we went through that video pretty quickly, and we'll make that video available to everybody. I mean, it's already on YouTube, so just do a YouTube search for Club Decision Matrix, and you can replay it as many times as you want.
Right now we don't have any questions. I will call attention to a question that was asked a bit back from Zeus, which I did answer. And the question was, do you have to do anything to renew yourself as a coach from 1 year to the next? And the answer to that is no. It just flows into the next year automatically as a coach. And you could view it on your profile under Toastmasters website under Club Support History.
All right, I'm not seeing any questions come in around the Club Decision Matrix. It looks like a question came in for sponsors. I will go ahead and hand it back to
Connie. The question
Connie
is, can a club sponsor become a member part of the initial 20?
That's a very, very good question, and I believe that the answer is yes. Lisa, can I have confirmation on that?
Absolutely. We recommend that they wait until after the club is chartered and after the mentoring has been done if they're a mentor, but yes, they can join that. Typically, they have to have 17 brand new members for Toastmasters, people who have never, ever heard of Toastmasters, and then 3 experienced or seasoned Toastmasters can join like they would if they were a dual club member. So again, these are the 6 forms that are available for completing the charter, and there's actually 7, but Form 6 has 2 parts to it, Part A and Part B. So just to recap again, you have the application to organize, and that has to be accompanied with the $125 for the charter fee. We typically also recommend that the club get the charter members, the founders' payments put together, send everything in at once so nothing gets separated. The second one is the charter payments. That is the founders' payments, the 20 or 30, whoever wants to be that charter member of the club. The third form, which is not here, but that's okay, is known as the charter membership application. One is needed per member. And again, it has to be signed by both the applicant and the club officer, typically whoever is going to become the club president. The fourth form is the charter club officer information. Those are the people who are going to be the first charter leaders of the club. Form 5 is the club information, what they're going to do, how they're going to do it. Dylan went through a lot of this in the matrix. I don't want to recap it, but basically how you're going to form your club. Form 6A is the club constitution, which will recap how the club is formed and what it's going to be, open, closed, what day and time it's meeting, how often. And 6B is the addendum of standards for club options. Okay, at this point, I'm going to kick it back over to Connie, I think, who is going to take it from here with the charter presentation. Nope, to Sarah. I beg your pardon. Sarah, I'm sorry. I still love you.
You're fine.
Anyway, I'm going to get this back to Sarah Mayer, and she's going to talk about the charter presentation party.
I get the fun part. So once you've done all the steps on the roadmap, you get to have a party, maybe pop some champagne or confetti. And this is really the time to celebrate. And as we mentioned in the beginning, the goal is to get clubs from interest to charter in 8 weeks. Sometimes that won't happen, sometimes it will, but when it does happen, it is a party. And it's important that we invite all the guests. Our sponsor will help with that, inviting all the guests and dignitaries, because the rest of the district really wants to celebrate that club. This is when we will publicize that the club is chartering, and then the club will form some committees. And the meeting is really short because it's really about celebration. We install the club at that event and we present the charter certificate. A lot of clubs will have cake and invite outside people, and it's just a great celebration. And then the club will accept that virtual banner. Once we get out of COVID, it'll be actually a physical banner, but for now it's a virtual banner that really sets their flag in the ground as becoming a club. It's the best part. So next up we have Connie.
Thank you. So we've talked a lot about why and how, but we want to drill down a little bit about how we can help our clubs in all 3 roles be successful. And this is the foundation, that a cornerstone that I'm talking about, is the DCP Club program. I want to emphasize again, it's not about what status the club earns, because I truly believe if we're focusing on the right things, we're going to get the results that we want. I want to be a club that is President's Distinguished, but it doesn't happen just by wanting. We have to really know how to guide the clubs that we are going to sponsor, mentor, or coach to that status. And it starts with knowing the Distinguished Club program. I wish I could have this presentation be more interactive and ask how many of you can, off the cuff, tell me all 10 Distinguished Club goals. They're not points, they're goals. I know it took me a while to memorize them. What are the most important ones? What's the hardest ones? It kills me. I've been in clubs that are exciting and successful, and we are learning and growing, and we met all our education awards. But for some reason, we can't meet our membership. I'm pretty sure that some of us have been there. Be prepared. Plan. You want to see the results from your hard work. But more important, we want to meet the members' needs. Again, if they're not growing, they're going to leave. And right now, and I think of back, I was at a Toastmasters meeting today, and the president of the club said some very insightful words, and I wish I could remember it and write it down, but it was something as, for most of us, this year has been the most craziest year, and never have we ever needed to be able to communicate more, to communicate with our loved ones, to communicate with people who don't share our beliefs or opinions. We're at a crossroads in Toastmasters. The need is very, very real. And it's our jobs as servant leaders to meet that need. And it kills me again when you have a great club, but they're just missing it. So I suggest going back to the basics. And it doesn't matter if the club has been around for a bazillion years. Sometimes it's a good reminder to make sure that the club is having those monthly officer meetings, that everybody understands the role. They're planning for success. And it starts with the Distinguished Club Program, because that is how we measure our success.
Connie, it looks like we have a really good guess in the chat.
Ooh.
You want me to read it to you?
Yes.
You got it. All right, so this is from Zeus. So 1 to 4 level 1s, 2 to 4 more level 1s, 3 to 2 level 2s. Oh, sorry, I get it now. It's number 1, 2, sorry. 1 is 4 level 1s, 2 is 4 more level 1s, 3 is 2 level 2s, 4 is 2 more level 2s, 5 is 2 level 3s, and 6 is 1 or 2 level 4s. Can't remember. And then 7 is 1 level 5. 1 is training officers twice, so once in the, it's like summer now, and then once in the winter, and 1 is paying dues on time in April and in October and turning in the club list, and then 4 new members.
Awesome. Great job, Zeus. Now, some of the easiest ones to miss, and I understand the reason, but it is our job to really promote Toastmasters Leadership Institute. Some officers feel like if they've done the first one, which is the winter, they don't need to attend the summer. I guarantee you that, and I was the past TLI chair, and it's been my experience prior and even now, that there's always something to learn. So if you're a coach and you're getting pushback and saying, oh, we've been to TLI, challenge them. Especially now, since it's free. Ask the club are they bringing up and finding their replacements? Do they have people who would be great officers for the upcoming years to fill their slots? Who doesn't want to feel special and have somebody ask them, you know what, I think you would be a great secretary. You're very detailed. Can you help the club out? Think about running for secretary next year. Why don't you attend TLI to learn more about the position? So it always starts with the Distinguished Club Program. But next, our polling question is, why is the club success plan so critical?
Looks like we have the results, Connie, as measurement of success and helps club stay on target.
Okay. So you might not see the club success plan and the qualifications of the goals for the distinguished plan, but this is a report that you should all be very familiar with. And this is one of the resources when we say about knowing the resources available on Toastmasters International. If you've served as an area governor or director, you should be very familiar with this form and know where your club is at and check on this as a regular basis. The club president should be checking, and so is the VPE should be checking, because it helps us, along with the club success plan, stay on track. Because it's very important to know where we're starting from, have those regular check-ins to be where we want to be, which is celebrating at the end of the year and being a President's Distinguished Club. We've had challenges this year because of COVID, and if you are a club coach trying to bring a new perspective, it's having that open-mindedness and knowing what to do and having that plan. I guarantee you the Distinguished Club Program and the Club Success Plan will help you. Again, we're talking about going back to the basics. I'm so glad that nobody picked the first one that said win possible awards for and money for our clubs. That's nice to have bragging rights, right? But again, we should be in it for the members. The club success plan can be a little bit daunting. I've heard a couple of horror stories just recently where somebody told an area governor or area director, oh, just copy what we had from last year. It's not that important. No, it is that important, because it really does help guide us. And that is your job. And as a mentor, it's really important to make sure that you're helping the club start off on the right foot. The goal is to be a successful, thriving club, and the club success plan will help you, that club stay on track and hit their targets. Now, would I love for it to be, I think, seems like 40 pages, and a lot of it is repetitious, and you wonder who really looks at it. The district does really look at the club success plan. Your area director should be looking at the club success plan. Mentors and coaches, please make sure that your clubs know their area and directors. And that's another resource that can help you. Invite them in to the meetings and help you. They're there for a resource. Take advantage of it. You don't have to do it all by yourself. So the third cornerstone is pathways. And I have a wonderful mentor, and unfortunately, I'll be the first one to admit that I didn't take her advice. And in hindsight, I can kick myself. I, like some of you, want to get another DTM under the Legacy program. And I had made the mistake of purchasing the whole library because they offered me a 25% discount. So there I was. I ordered all the books. And then I would get bored with some of the books or didn't want to do a certain speech. So I'd think, I'd just pick up another book. So you guessed it. I didn't have a plan. I didn't follow a roadmap. I was willy-nilly. And they kept on saying, okay, the Legacy program is going to end. So all of a sudden I realized that I had 2 speeches in one manual, 1 speech in another manual, and it was a race to the finish to get all my manuals done. My mentor said, I know that it's your goal to earn another DTM, but you are a leader. You're a president of 2 clubs. You need to be able to talk about pathways. So when I became the soror division director, I committed to doing level 1, and then I went back to the legacy program to finish everything. So now, having to go back to pathways, I had to start over again. I thought, okay, what do I do? What's Basecamp? How do I submit a path? I'm supposed to be taking the first, I always forget about the assessments that you have to take. I'll take the beginning one and then I won't do the last one or vice versa. So I really had to go back and relearn how to use Basecamp, relearn to launch my paths. So I encourage you to make sure that you can speak from experience and knowledge, because now legacy is dead. Very few, anybody coming in won't know what legacy was, just the old timers. You might have to, as a coach, help transition seasoned members to legacies. Unfortunately, we did lose some people because they don't like pathways. But I would counter, did they really give pathways a chance? I was a little resistant because it was so easy and all manuals were all I knew. If you're a new member, that's all you'll know is pathways. But having gone back and started learning about pathways, I'm very excited because it's forcing me and it's challenging me. Never did I think I'd be able to write a blog or do a video. Another good tip from my mentor is always have 2 paths going at a time. So if you were like me and you get bored and you don't want to do the next thing in your path, you can switch over to the other path. Again, I like to grow, so I'm challenging myself. I am not a native Spanish speaker, so I'm doing one path in English and the other one, very painfully, in Spanish. But I'm up for the challenge because it's all about growing. So again, I encourage you to look at the paths, know all 11 paths, monitor, even if you're not a president or the secretary or the VPE, be able to explain how to use Basecamp. The website for Basecamp keeps on improving and updating. One of the things that I wish, and I don't know if they're working on it still, but I get confused and I have to remind myself to remember to make sure I'm making sure each club that I'm doing at the different education award to is going to the right club. May I have the next slide, please? Now it's time for all your questions. So we'll go ahead and open it up. You can ask any of the team members anything you want.
If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the question and answer or the chat, and I will grab them. Anyone? We must have done a really good job if nobody has any questions.
Well, I'm really surprised because we recovered how a coach gets credit for their service, but we haven't talked about how a sponsor or mentor gets credit? Does anybody want to know how to get credit for? Who wants to know?
Oh, we have answers in the chat. Zeus says sponsor at charter. Michelle wants to know. And Zeus says mentor at 6 months. Zeus took the advanced class. I think we're going to promote him to panelist and let him start teaching.
Well, Zeus
he says no.
No, I see that. Zeus, you're correct about at mentor at 6 months, but there's also another step you have to do. You have to ask the president to send an email to Toastmasters International telling them how wonderful you are. So just because you were appointed for both the sponsor and mentor doesn't mean it's done.
And that's a really good point, Connie, because oftentimes we do our thing and we just trust that it's going to be marked off, but making sure that the mentorship is marked off and the president actually sends that email. And then for sponsors, it's on the club paperwork. So that's why it's really important as a sponsor that you're helping that club with the paperwork, because if they forget to put your name on there, guess what will happen? You're not the sponsor, so you did all that work. So I think that's a really good point to make sure those are signed off by club officers. I do have a question. How many people in this webinar right now already are a sponsor, mentor, or coach? And then how many are thinking about it or considering?
Well, I'll go ahead and start it off. In the past, I do have multiple DTMs, and I've been a sponsor and a mentor a couple of times. Both have been wonderful experiences, and I'm very honored to have just been appointed to as a coach to AA Fearless Leaders, and my co-coach is Zeus. Before I ask the next person to share their experience on the team, I will go back to Sarah's point is I know firsthand of somebody who was a mentor, did a wonderful job, and somehow her name did not get on the paperwork and she did not get credit for her service. And I was really shocked because we had a number of people contact Toastmasters International saying, hey, we're human. We don't know how this happened. But all of us, and there was about 5 of us that contacted Toastmasters International, we can attest that this person actually did the work. But Toastmasters International would not budge. So I'd like to ask Lisa if you've been a coach, mentor, or sponsor, and share your experience.
Yes, I've actually been both. I helped sponsor a club in the West Valley, kind of West Valley, and it was an awesome experience because it was about taking them through all the process, trying to figure out how we're going to do the marketing and whatnot. I got to work on one-on-one with another Toastmaster to try and make this happen. It was for one of the schools we have. That was just a lot of fun. And it was fun getting to know her, too, as we're still connected on Instagram and Facebook together. It's a lot of fun. The mentoring, I got to work with another club up in the Northwest Valley with another mentor, and it was nice because we got to feed off each other. I got really busy in the district. She wasn't near as busy, so I would probably come every other week. She came every other week opposite me. We'd come together towards the end of the week and compare notes and see where everybody was. We could keep them moving forward and keep them on track. It was fun.
I would like to ask Sarah if you've been a sponsor or mentor.
I have been a mentor and a coach, and I enjoyed both of the experiences. As a mentor, I really enjoyed working with the new club, and I wish I had had the decision matrix because there were so many questions that came up with a new club about should we do this or should we do that or what should our culture be. It was a great experience. I loved seeing them kind of take over and make the club what they wanted it to be. And then as a coach, it was a club that always teetered on having 12 or 18 members and needed to get to 20 and just seeing them kind of bounce back and then be stabilized after was a great experience. I will say both roles, get ready to be a facilitator, because that's really what the role is. You know, you're not there to make decisions. You're there to facilitate kind of the process and allow them to get their wings and fly. Because if you make the decisions for them, then when you're gone, they're still going to need someone. So it was a great experience. I loved both roles.
Thank you. Julie, can you share your experience, please?
I am considering being a coach. I have done neither of the positions, but I enjoy mentoring and empowering others and helping people find their strengths. So I plan on joining the coach group and see if I can find a club that I can work with from my friends who have served in all of the roles. All of sponsors, mentors, coaches are extremely rewarding for everyone that participates. And hopefully with your efforts, there's success for the club.
Thank you. Dylan.
We do. Oh, just real quick, Connie, we did have a question.
Okay.
Somebody mentioned they like stuff like medals and plaques. Do you get anything for being a successful coach or mentor? And I'll add sponsor. Coaches
will get a pin upon their appointment, and successful completion there's a certificate. I am not sure of the other areas.
Yes, my memory serves correctly. You do get a certificate for being a mentor and sponsor. But there's no fancy pin. Dylan.
Yes.
Can you share if you've been a mentor, sponsor, or considering being a coach?
Sure thing. I have not been a mentor yet, and I am less than a week into my coach position for Signal Speakers. But I was a club sponsor for Casa Cubex, and it was interesting because I didn't know what a club sponsor was, but yet I was fulfilling all of the duties as the club sponsor naturally because it was such a brand new club that there were only 2 people that had experience, and the other person was just very, very busy in their, at work and in their job. And so I really had to take a hold of everything and get the officers together and help build up that club and get them to, 20 members, which, we did early on, obviously, for chartering, but then building in all those policies and procedures to help the club continue to run. And they are still running today, completely virtual, and they're growing. And we've got, I think, a couple of members in this webinar today that are a part of Casa Cubex.
Awesome. Thank you. I have had the pleasure of knowing Zeus for, he must have met me when I was 2. He was an employee at the University of Phoenix, and he was part of my home club, Class Act. And I am still shocked, and I've shared this story with him, and I'll share it with everybody now, about the wonderful opportunities that Toastmasters has provided. When I first started Toastmasters, it was because I was interviewing for a management position. And there were 70 other candidates for, I think, 5 manager positions. And the competition was very, very tough. And I always thought that I did okay at public speaking. It was hit and miss. Sometimes I couldn't do it, and other times I could. I wasn't consistent. And we had to do a presentation. The weakest part of my presentation, and I knew that you would either love it or hate it, somebody laughed. And I lost all my confidence, and I couldn't continue. And I just left the room. I was in tears. My girlfriend was a Toastmasters, and she said, "Connie, you have to get back on the horse. Go to Toastmasters." I didn't want to speak. I had a great mentor, Steve Bro. He encouraged me, started functionary roles. Slowly, I started gaining my confidence. The university would pay for people's membership in Toastmasters if you were in the ivory building, as I called it, the ivory tower. If you were an executive or if you weren't a frontline employee, who I truly believe needed it most, they wouldn't pay. And I was telling my manager that because I made it a goal in my review to include Toastmasters, and she was very impressed. And she goes, well, why don't you talk to somebody? So I did. You could have picked me off the floor when I found a Toastmasters champion. He was so enthusiastic about Toastmasters. He said, put a plan together, I'll review it, and I'll let you know. He greenlighted it. He gave me a budget of $16,000. I never had been in charge of that kind of money before for an organization. So I enlisted a few people to be on my team. And in the end, we had seven University of Phoenix Toastmasters clubs, which I helped start. Again, it was just an incredible experience putting that together. That has served me well with all my other positions and has gotten me into wanting to be a leader because I never saw myself in that position. So I'm really urging you, if you want to grow, you never will know what will happen, but for your personal development, but helping other people. Now that I've been in Toastmasters for a while, now for me, it's time to give back. So think about how you can impact a life. I truly believe that the best gift you can give somebody is your time. Invest in people. Invest in future Toastmasters. You can make the difference. I know that some people might think that's trite and saying, oh no, nobody, one person. But I truly believe one person can make a difference in somebody else's life. Because I know that awesome mentors that I've had through Toastmasters, and I'm living proof. If you need a testimonial of how somebody could grow, somebody who lost their confidence, who grew up not having a voice, and what Toastmasters has given me. So think about it. There's so many reasons why. Yes, we know that you can get your DTM, but your life will be enriched, and the satisfaction you get from helping others is priceless. So if there's any more questions, please let us know. If not, we will have evaluation forms. Karen Hewitt, who is the third member of the trio, will make sure that myself and her will look over them. If there's any ideas that you want to suggest for the training, we're open to it. Contact us. Julie and I will have one-on-ones with you if you're still on the fence. But please, I'm asking you to take the next step.